Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thanks, Director. In the interest of full disclosure, up until 2 years ago, I did not know what a snag was. And then further, I didn't know why we were doing snags. So I'm sort of new to this. I'm coming at it from an economic and quality of life, and I'll get to the questions, but I wanted to share some observations with you. The 49th is, through the heart of it, is cut with the Monongahela River. And then contributaries in the Monongahela. We're blessed, I'm told, with a stream in every school district. And we see more and more mayors and sports clubs embracing fishing with their youth in their community. And I'd like to tell you a quick story about Nate this past fall. In Bell Vernon, the mayor decided to have a fishing contest. Nate was 12 years old, and he was standing there casting away early in the morning. And there were 2 adults with him, and these 2 adults happened to be his grandparents. Well, upon further interview with the 2, we found out that Nate, his very first time out, had caught a huge fish. And he had gone to his grandparents that morning at 5 a.m. in the morning to wake them up to get the first spot. And I just thought that was so interesting how we could embrace. The grandfather had quit fishing years ago, but because his grandson had got involved in it, he got back into it. And I think that's really an important part of our mission going forward. On Monday, we had an opioid hearing back in the district, and one of our testifiers was the superintendent of one of our school districts. And really sort of a special school district to me personally. They have embraced the 4 programs in their high school and their elementary school: trout in the classroom, boater safety, aquatic life, and fishing skills. And it was interesting for her to explain to the group that this had a great impact on her students and a quality of life issue of how they were getting back in and involved in their community as a hedge against the drug epidemic. And the final part of that was, upon visitation, we went back in and we interviewed the children that are involved in trout in the classroom, and one young man raised his hand and said, "Can we raise pheasants next year?" So there's a great economic points to this beyond not only the Boat and Fish Commission, but also the quality of life of bringing people in. The questions are, we're looking and we need money. We understand that. I think in economics, I always look at, can we make the pie bigger or take a bigger slice out of the existing pie? And I think in this case, long term, we need to make the pie bigger, back getting the youth involved. So do we see any cuts in those programs in the classroom specifically or going forward?
No, because as I explained earlier, we created a new promoted a staff person to coordinate youth and women programs, and we see those as the 2 growing demographics. Obviously, we need kids. We need to recruit kids into the angling population, just like we need to recruit bass into the smallmouth population, to replace the seniors, or the bass that are kept and eaten, as they graduate to seniors and come out of it as an annual license buyer. We're losing seniors at a faster rate than we're recruiting youth. So we got to replace those seniors with kids. And that's one of the top priorities for the Fish and Boat Commission and our board, is try to figure out a way that we can improve the recruitment of juniors into license buyers when they turn 16. In terms of quality of life, no better example I can think of than what happens when we hold a Project Healing Waters event, when wounded warriors come up from Walter Reed, and you just see the expression on their change and their mood change when you get them along a stream and they see the therapy that the stream has to provide in the fish that they catch. So we want to extend that, and I have to thank you for looking at that as a way as therapy for drug addicts and getting them back into society. There's no better way to unplug from the challenges of life than getting out fishing. So
absolutely. I guess a follow-up question on that. What has been your experience? Our experience was a sportsman's club taking it to the high school. Is there a trend or history about how we get those programs into the classrooms?
Well, it's always been a challenge. We have a curriculum approved by the Department of Education, so it's available. It's just up to the teachers to want to teach it. So I've got a fishing trip coming up, hopefully with Secretary of Education, Pedro Rivera. We got canceled last fall. We got blown off the river, and this is one of the topics. I've talked to him before about how can we get this message in the schools and offer it as a choice for teachers to teach. Because we've already got approved curriculum to teach. We've got a model program. Try It in the Classroom is growing exponentially across the state in schools, and it really does connect not only kids to fishing, but it connects them to conservation and understanding general ecology, aquatic ecology. And when they take those fish and release them into the stream, it gives them hope that they can come back and catch them one day.
I'll combine these last two questions then. I guess what we would do is ask if there is a current ongoing test market specifically to introducing them into the classroom and offer us up as a test market if we need one. And then I think we discussed a little bit about the capture of data. Our gut and sense tells us that this will pay dividends down the end, and I think you're in the process of collecting data.
Absolutely. We're having special events around the state. Bass Pro just donated a boat and trailer and motor that we gave away at the Penn State football game. The parents bring the kids to sign up to win that bass boat. And part of that 100,000 people crowd that come to a Penn State game are part of our retention recruitment, or they're all part of the retention recruitment and reactivation model that we want to use to get people re-involved in fishing. So the more we do that, the more we can get our message out in front of people that enjoy the outdoors especially, the more we're going to build that license base, and the more we're going to get those younger kids interested in getting their license when they turn 16.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.